You're listening to the Stress-Free Wedding Planning Podcast.
Why is the food for my reception more expensive? Why is my dress and my bridesmaids' dresses costing more? Those are the questions that we're going to answer today, along with what is the supply chain? What is inflation? What does the supply chain have to do with my wedding? We're going to explain the meaning of these terms.
After listening to this edition of Stress-Free Wedding Planning, you're going to know and understand the answers to those questions.
By the time this episode is over, you'll know why wedding vendors are charging more and what to do about it.
With over 80 years of combined wedding experience and insider information, this is Stress-Free Wedding Planning with your hosts, Sal and Sam. A new podcast for engaged couples who are stressed about wedding planning and family expectations, but want to have a fun wedding. Listen now for revealing wedding insider secrets, tips, and strategy or lesson that you'll be able to implement for a stress-free wedding. Information that you just can't miss and may just change your life. Take the journey with us from worry and concern to a stress-free and unforgettable wedding day. The Stress-Free Wedding Planning Podcast with Sal and Sam.
You know, Sal, one of the reasons for doing this was a long time ago, I saw a bride crying at her wedding reception. It wasn't because she was happy. It was because family expectations and those special events that she didn't want to do. She just wanted to have a party. I realized at that moment that I was going to dedicate the rest of my life to make sure that each couple had their wedding customized the way that they wanted it. So I found that with my talents in broadcasting and nightclubs, I could kind of personalize weddings for my couples without these special events or special traditions that the families wanted. Now, I had some ups and downs and some disappointments until finally I created this planning checklist that you would be able to go through step by step of what you wanted. And this has helped thousands and thousands of engaged couples plan and have stress-free wedding receptions. Now I'm known as the DJ that carefully plans and consults and reviews and has that elegant presentation at weddings.
You know, Sam, when I came into the business, like many DJs, we started doing parties and school events. And then I got to go to family weddings, and I was realizing that the entertainment didn't really know the wedding protocol. Things seemed very choppy, and it didn't really make sense. When I was asked to do my first wedding, I fell in love with this because I got to see the guests' reactions and see those happy faces on what I was doing. From that point, I knew weddings would be my priority. So I created a system to help couples plan their wedding. Unfortunately, I struggled with the balancing of work and family life and came to a point of closing my own business. But I never gave up. After a short period of time, my good friend Bert Fonseca of After Hours Entertainment asked me to join his company. Now, the extensive wedding planner I created back then was being used exclusively for our couples. It was such a success that we were recognized by the Knot and presented the Best of Wedding Award, and I successfully helped thousands of couples have memorable weddings.
And that's why, together with our extensive experience and wedding planning insider secrets, we're going to take you from an anxious couple to a stress-free, fun wedding reception that your friends and family will remember for years to come.
We'll take you from the worries and concerns of planning your wedding and take you to a stress-free and fun wedding day.
We'll reveal wedding insider secrets for a stress-free wedding, plus have engaging interviews with expert wedding professionals, all in 30 minutes or less.
We'll do that next.
You're listening to the Stress-Free Wedding Planning Podcast.
Welcome to another edition of the Stress-Free Wedding Planning Podcast. I've invited our very knowledgeable guest today, Vanessa. Hi, Vanessa. How are you?
Oh, I'm fabulous. How are you?
And we have our co-host with the most, Sal.
How's it going, Sam?
Okay, so let's remind everybody, Vanessa, you are...
I am Sal's wife. Dun, dun, dun.
That's it. Good night.
Good night. We're all done. I am the sales and operations manager here at After Hours Events of New England. So I deal with instant communication between the venues and our DJs, our photo booths, our uplighting staff, and scheduling.
Yep. So you have an absolute knowledge on what the costs of things are, right?
Absolute.
And
exclamation point.
And that's why we invited you here, because we're going to discuss how inflation in the supply chain affects the cost of your wedding. We're going to break down what those definitions are. Inflation is the rate of increase in prices over a given period or time for goods or services, food, etc., and what they cost. So if, for instance, something, let's take a loaf of bread, costs $1 today, and tomorrow you go in and buy it, and it costs $1.50, that's called inflation, the difference that you have to pay. A recession is described as 2 consecutive quarters of declining GDP, and GDP is gross domestic product. And what is the supply chain? Supply chain is from the manufacturer to the retailer. That is the supply chain. All the little things that are in the middle, the distributors and resellers, the wholesalers, before it gets to the consumer. And once that supply chain breaks, that's when you have an issue. And COVID is an excellent example of breaking that supply chain. Now, those are some hard conversations to talk to a couple about at their wedding. And I see a lot on the forums about wedding facilities. For instance, you booked your venue a year and a half ago, and you come back now and the venue says, well, prime rib is now twice the price that it is. Are you experiencing these type of comments from your clients?
Everybody should expect an increase at some point, no matter which venue or vendor you hire, right? So every year there's always an increase. But because of COVID, I think that there was a significant increase that consumers had to pay for.
Right.
Food was number one. That was the big shell shocker for all customers.
Yeah, I have a New York Times report that said meat, poultry, fish, and eggs are up 14% over 2021 prices. And you're going to love this. Hershey just raised their prices on chocolate bars up by 9.5%.
And I still didn't lose weight because I bought it still.
Now,
it's essential.
Those are the type of things that cause people to say, what's happening in the world? What's happening with prices? One of the things that clients don't really understand is why, for your business as a DJ service, why do prices go up?
For us in our business, equipment is hard to get. I can't even get replacement parts for a speaker at this point.
You're right.
It's really tough.
You're right.
Because we had that backlog where everything was on the sea. It wasn't coming on land. And every day it was just costing more and more for having those things out there. So guess what? Who has to pay for that? Us. In any part of this industry, there's different reasons why things are going up. We had some things that changed during this time from COVID to now, such as the minimum wage going up. So now we had to pay people more.
That's a good point.
Guess who pays for that?
Mm-hmm.
The customer, of course. Mm-hmm. There's no choice in that matter.
Following on that, we have business licenses and insurance that we have to pay. Cell phones are kind of ubiquitous. Everybody has a cell phone, right? But you don't understand that the business person depends on their cell phone. I literally can do my entire business on vacation on my cell phone. Those fees, website fees, domain fees, assistants, as you're saying, and staff, they've all gone up because of the minimum wage. This beautiful studio that we have is rent. Somebody has to pay for that. And professional services, lawyers, you know about lawyers.
Totally
I know about lawyers.
That, yes.
CPAs, software that we have to buy. A lot of clients also don't understand about the subscriptions that we have to pay for software that we use. A lot of these softwares that we use now are now either monthly or yearly subscriptions, when in the old days you bought the software and that was it. Maybe you got an update or maybe you didn't. Marketing and advertising costs. And then, of course, the big one is taxes. Everybody hates taxes. You have to pay them, unfortunately, and so do businesses. Those are some of the things that couples don't see, and that will affect the cost of their event.
In a perfect world, it would be great where all advertisement was just word of mouth.
Oh,
right?
That would be great, wouldn't it?
A couple recommends, it's perfect, but no, that's not how it works. You have to rely on venues. You have to rely on social media. You have to rely on your marketing skills online, and all of that costs money.
Right.
All of that costs money.
I know there are some businesses that live and die by companies like, I shouldn't advertise, the Wedding Wire and the Knot. And they put all of their advertising dollars into that. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Wedding Wire and the Knot went up in price this year like they always do. Mm-hmm. And guess where that gets passed on to?
The customer.
Vanessa, what's it like getting dresses? What are you hearing from brides?
Oh, my goodness gracious. So wedding gowns, bridal gowns, even tuxedos at this point, it's just like everything else. It's all back ordered. Why is it back ordered?
Yeah.
Everybody blames COVID. It's just the point of where is it coming from. Even if it's coming from the good old USA, there's still parts and pieces that come from across seas. And what's happening across seas, you can't get it because it's at the docks.
Yeah, and even if those docks are being cleared, there's not many truck drivers out there. There's a shortage of truck drivers. And then we had gas from March until recently. The gas prices were up high. So that's another thing that hits the supply chain.
But even within the businesses of the gowns itself, the alterations, having people work to get these alterations done, and it's not just like you can pick somebody off the street to say, here, alter my dress, who has absolutely no knowledge. No, it's a very detailed craft.
It is. Tailors are retiring.
Exactly.
And there's nobody, Sal, you want to be a tailor?
Yeah. Well, think about it. You spend that much money on a wedding dress and even a tuxedo or a suit that maybe you bought, even if you're renting it, but then you're going to spend $20 to have somebody just do a seam. No, you're going to make sure that it's done correctly and it looks good.
Yeah, the pandemic created a lot of issues. One, because of going in a few years, you had people who were close to retirement. Now they did retire, and we didn't get to really replenish those type of people. Yeah.
Or they didn't want to come back to work.
They didn't want to come back to work. And that was another thing. A lot of people didn't come back to work. That's why gas stations have a problem with having people working McDonald's, you name it.
Even here. We're looking to hire.
We need DJs. We need assistants, and it's a real tough thing. So a lot of people actually created their own businesses.
Yes, they did.
During this time. So people are like, well, unemployment is sky high. No, it really isn't. A lot of people found another way to make money.
Yep.
It's making them happier that way.
And a lot of people started podcasts.
I don't know anyone.
We'll be back right after this.
The Stress-Free Wedding Planning Podcast with Sal and Sam.
Wedding Tip Wednesday is brought to you by Emerge Cosmetics. Are you ready to emerge? A new line of luxurious lipsticks and lip glosses created with the intention of empowerment and coming into who you truly are. Strong, beautiful, and confident. Use coupon code EBI10 at shopemergecosmetics.com for an instant 10% discount. That's coupon code EBI10 for 10% discount at shopemergecosmetics.com. Emerge as the true you.
Here's your Wedding Tip Wednesday. Don't DIY. I'll say it again. Don't DIY. Just don't believe those wedding articles that suggest to you to dispense with your DJ and create a long playlist of great music. Then plug it into a charger and a sound system and just let it play all nights. It's all a recipe for disaster. Let's think of this. Who will rent, set up, and maintain the sound system during the event? You? Who will make announcements and keep the event moving? Who? You? Who will coordinate details between the facility photographer and other vendors? Who? You? Who will play your special songs at the right time? Who? You? What if something goes wrong? If you're stressed now, imagine how you're going to be on your wedding day. Here's the reminder. Hire a professional.
Please! Please hire a professional. Oh my goodness. When you have a professional, they're going to allow you to give some examples of what you would really like for that night. What's important to you. Now, a professional is going to always be honest with you too. I have gotten a list. Wow, that's not really a danceable song. And I go over it with my couple. Why did you pick those songs? Now, sometimes you find out, my fraternity sisters, we always at a wedding, we go out in the middle of the dance floor, then it's a hit. Exactly. We will do that. Well, you're not a DJ, so sometimes you don't realize some songs don't go together. Where a DJ is always reading the crowd and changing with the crowd, making it so that we're keeping people on the dance floor a lot longer by doing what we're doing. We play slow songs when they are needed and not overdo it, and know when it's time to change a genre. So a professional is just so important to get you through that day, to have fun and making it stress-free, because they're the ones who are going to lead the whole show in a sense of, we're going to be the MC. We're going to do all the introductions. We're going to announce all the special events. We're going to have the music ready for each event. So this is why you should have a professional. A professional is going to help you every step of the way with the planning and play the appropriate stuff when it is needed.
Wedding Tip Wednesday is available on the Stress-Free Wedding Planning Facebook group page every Wednesday. Join the group for free.
Emerge Cosmetics. Are you ready to emerge?
I love this lipstick. I'm super picky about how a lipstick feels. Most are either too dry feeling or feel like you've oiled your lips. This not only felt great, but lasted and looked great hours later. The color Angelina is perfection, a must-have in my collection.
This is Lauren Simpson from Emerge Cosmetics, a professional makeup artist with over a decade of experience in the beauty industry. That's the reaction we're getting from our new line of carefully curated lip products that wear well and feel comfortable. These are a must-have for your collection. All products are made in the USA, cruelty-free, gluten-free, and most are vegan. Shop emergecosmetics.com for lipsticks and lip glosses that not only feel great, but last for hours in an array of different colors. Free shipping on orders over $100. Use the podcast coupon code EBI10 at shopemergecosmetics.com for an instant 10% discount. That's coupon code EBI10 for 10% discount at shopemergecosmetics.com. Emerge as the true you.
You're not the same as the person next to you. You dress to reflect your personality. You enjoy customizing your drink at the coffee shop. Even your pet's collars match at least 2 pairs of your pants. It's only natural that your wedding would showcase your unique touch. After Hours Events of New England gets this. They like to give their clients full artistic control. If you find yourself lost, their team of event specialists can help. They handle everything from DJs, photo booths, event lighting, photography, videography, even officiants. Give them a visit on the web and call today. Let's get planning. After Hours Events of New England. After Hours Events of NE.com. Don't forget to like and follow on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and be sure to subscribe to their YouTube channel, all at After Hours Events of NE. That's After Hours Events of NE.
Don't know what to do for your first dance? Is your future spouse having trouble picking a song to dance with their parent? Worry no more. I have the answer. Go to afterhoursevents.com/contact guest. That is CONTACTGUEST. And you'll be able to listen to hours of music to help you select the right songs for your upcoming wedding. Again, go to afterhoursevents.com/contact guest.
Do you want access to a stress-free wedding planning process? Then go to our website, allthews.atmosphere-productions.com, and get my free report. 8 questions you must ask a wedding professional before booking them. Get it today. That's allthews.atmosphere-productions.com. Look for the free report and learn to shop like a pro from a pro, and go from concern and worry to stress-free wedding planning.
When your wedding entertainment has to have amazing music, be fun, organized, and professional, your choice has to be Atmosphere Productions. DJs, live musicians, custom lighting, and photo booths. As seen on the TLC TV series 4 Weddings, winner of the Wedding Wire Couples Choice Award and DJ Times DJ of the Month. Experience the difference. www.atmosphere-productions.com. That's www.atmosphere-productions.com.
As you spend the next week planning your wedding, if you want me, Sal, and our community of stress-free engaged couples and wedding experts to answer any wedding-related questions, then join us over in the Stress-Free Wedding Planning Facebook group. Once you're in, go ahead and share your concerns and worries, and we'll let you know if you're on the right track or if there's some things you need to work on. The link to join us in the Stress-Free Wedding Planning Facebook group is in the show notes.
Heidi Hansen Photography. Fun, happy, a little unorthodox, sometimes silly, with lots of candid. Hi, this is Heidi from Heidi Hansen Photography. www.HeidiHansenPhotography.com. I like being goofy with my couples, making them laugh, and overall just having a blast on their wedding day. Every wedding day is different, and that is what keeps my job super awesome. I service Connecticut and New York. You can find me on www.HeidiHansenPhotography.com and also on social media.
Everyone is talking about the DJ Pauly Show on YouShook.com.
Hi everyone, this is Keith Urban, and you're listening to the number one DJ on the planet, DJ Pauly.
What's going on, everybody? This is Charles,
Hillary,
and Dave, and we are
Lady Antebellum.
And you're listening to the number one DJ on the internet. It's DJ Pauly, y'all.
Hey y'all, I'm Kelsey Ballerini, and you're listening to the number one DJ on the internet. It's DJ Pauly, y'all.
The DJ Pauly Show on YouShook.com. We dare to be different. Join us and see for yourselves.
You're listening to Sal and Sam on the Stress-Free Wedding Planning Podcast. I'm Carson from Fitzner Productions, and I listen every week. You can listen and download online from iTunes, Google, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to part 2 of how inflation in the supply chain affects the cost of your wedding. We've explained a little bit about what the supply chain is. I guess one question I'm going to throw out there is, are we in a recession? We've had 2 quarters of declining GDP, but I will tell you before you answer that question, wedding industry is supposed to be recession resistant. Do you experience that in your line of work?
I think it depends on which way you look at it, right? So people are still getting married. It was just a different way of getting married.
Yes.
So a lot of people were gravitating towards backyard weddings
Yep.
or vineyards, wineries, as
Yes.
opposed to venues.
Yep.
Why? Because there was restrictions put on venues.
Yep.
So not to any degree of collaboration with them, they got hurt because of it.
Big time.
Who did better? People who did rentals,
Yep.
tent rentals.
Yep.
There was a
Oh.
point, remember, where
Yeah,
you
you
could
couldn't
not
get a tent.
find a tent. You
Yep.
couldn't find decent chairs.
I really believe that we're in a recession, yes, but our industry is one of those that because people book so far in advance, it's kind of recession proof. But because of COVID, 2020 and 2021 have kind of held back people from actually doing things. And now we're seeing 2023, 2024 brides now starting to book out. So if businesses like ours are in good position, we survived COVID, we should be there during 23 and 2024.
Yeah, and I think it also depends just on how you geared and steered your business. So officiants, justice of the peace, they did a phenomenal year because
they
people are still getting married at town halls,
Yep.
on just having a little getaway and just the two of them getting
yeah.
married, so you still need somebody. So it just all depends on what part of the business that you're.
There's definitely parts of the industry that definitely got hurt more than others.
Yes.
Because people are trying to find a way to cut costs now because, food was so expensive.
Yep.
This tent is so expensive. But I think, if you planned things right,
Yep.
you will survive. And we notice a lot of our veterans,
Yeah.
they've made it.
Yep.
They've made it. And we see the ones that didn't make it, and there's a
They're
reason
gone.
for it.
They're gone. I will tell you one business that has done extremely well are musicians. I remember before 2020, a lot of my musician friends were like, oh, geez, DJs are doing everything. We're having trouble finding work. Then all of a sudden, COVID came along, and everybody wanted a guitarist or a violinist. Why? Because they were doing these mini weddings or these backyard weddings where they weren't going to spend the money on a DJ, but they would spend a couple of $100 having a violinist or a guitarist do.
Just saying, obviously, we're all DJs, so hire your DJ. But music is absolutely one of those essential parts. So whether you're doing a musician or a DJ, music has to be part of it. And we definitely seen a big increase as far as ceremony music with string, and it's
Love
just
it.
beautiful. It's just beautiful.
It is.
So you'll find more DJs are actually working with live musicians to make it part of the package, which is a very nice little add-on. The music can make or break a day.
It can.
I used to say back in the 90s, a prime rib never saved a wedding because that thing was not going to hop off that plate and make it happen. Who would? The MC and DJ. So getting a professional that knows what they're doing really helps your event out.
No
and it
doubt.
actually becomes more cost effective in the end.
Absolutely. That's what this podcast is all about, stress-free weddings. Let's discuss what's happening with food and flowers. We kind of touched on food a little bit, but I remember a story back in 2020 when COVID first started that everything was shut down. So obviously weddings didn't happen at the prime time, which was March, April, May, June, July, August, September. And the tulips in Holland weren't able to be shipped out. So again, that's part of the supply chain. It was definitely broken there because the tulips would just literally die. And I saw this report that they literally had to set up a burial furnace for all the tulips. They just burnt them because they had nowhere to store them and nobody was using them. I think that's a tragic tale of what COVID actually did to our industry. Now, I hear flowers are still pretty tough to get a hold of.
Flowers are. And, a lot of people try to look for different resources on where they can get flowers. So not only just fresh flowers, but now fake flowers.
Yes.
Or people go to grocery stores.
Yep.
But the truth of the matter is, even now at grocery stores, they can't get the right flowers that they're looking for that are in season.
That's
and
right.
cost is going up.
Yep.
Look, grocery stores, florists still have to pay electricity.
Yep.
Where's electricity right now?
No.
Skyrocketing.
Yeah, because I love economics. It's an effect of supply and demand.
Correct.
Whereas before, nobody was getting flowers, or flowers were seasonal. You could get them from Holland, and prices were pretty stable. Now you can't get flowers. You can't get the flowers that you want at the certain season. So now it costs more. So that's why you go to Stop and Shop or whatever.
Exactly.
And they were cheap before. Actually, I remember a lot of clients would say, just go to Stop and Shop and get a couple of bouquets and you're done. Yes, that's great, cheap. It's not that anymore.
No, but you know what? And because we're the planning podcast, right? So what do they do?
Right.
In the meantime, what can they do to have it stress-free? It's just all about planning. You can't go the month before and say, okay, I want this, and this, and then expect it.
Right.
And how are you going to get there? You're going to have, your aunt go and pick up flowers at Stop and Shop instead of having a professional florist deliver it.
That's right.
It's just all about planning. How are you going to get it done? If you're going to do fake flowers, plan for it.
Yep.
Are you going to be able to get those flowers?
Yep.
There's a beautiful professional that does wood flowers.
Yes.
But again, you have to plan for it.
Yep.
That's something that takes hours to create.
Yep. Yep.
But there are opportunities and places that you can get what you want. It's just a matter of searching.
The key to stress-free planning is planning ahead. It's not planning 2 weeks before and saying, I want wood flowers, and you're not going to get them, and now you're stressed out because you caused that stress.
Exactly.
The wood flowers didn't. So at the beginning of your wedding planning, you got to say to yourself, especially if you're planning for 23 and 24, what flowers am I going to have, and what date is my wedding?
Exactly.
Which flowers are going to be available? Maybe those flowers that you want are not available. It's going to cost you double, triple, or even more to get those specific flowers that you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And be reasonable.
Yes.
Be reasonable. You want sunflowers, but they may not be available. What is your second and third backup?
Exactly.
Backups, and look at, and go to your florist.
Yep.
Your professional who has the knowledge to make suggestions.
Let's talk about our weather. The lack of rain.
Yes.
Things don't grow without rain. And that's,
my stomach does. My stomach sure does.
So we're not just talking about flowers, but we're also talking vegetables. So we're going into the foods chain of it all. We don't have enough farms that are getting enough water to get these things out and create as much food as they did in the past.
Right. So this is the same thing with the prime rib, the beef, your chicken. They're all having shortages there, and the price of those meats for weddings has gone up incredibly. I've seen a load of different variety of meals that I'd never seen before, or they've harkened back to the old days. I know, Sal, you've been doing weddings since the 80s. I remember when baked stuffed shrimp was the number one thing on the menu.
That's a staple, yep.
And chicken cordon bleu. Remember that? And then in the 90s, nobody wanted chicken cordon bleu. That's all coming back now. And there's a lot of clients that are vegetarian.
Vanessa and I, we went to the grocery store like a week ago when we were going to have dinner with some friends, and we wanted to buy steaks. And it was like the cheapest thing for this small steak was over $50. I'm like, what is this?
And it wasn't even a prime cut.
Oh, really?
It wasn't even a prime cut. But, I mean, you see the inflation of how it is in the grocery stores. They should be expecting the inflation, same thing in a venue. I mean, the cost of grains to feed the animals, right, go up. The cost of labor to help.
And to butcher them.
Pesticides, all of that, everything to keep the meat fresh, the vegetables fresh, all that goes up.
Absolutely. Okay. So now we're going to wrap things up by discussing how we are able to help our clients. Some of the issues that couples face and want to do. So limited availability of wedding pros and higher rates for popular wedding dates. What do you suggest that clients do? Book early, right?
Book early. Whenever you decide, whatever date it is that you decide you want to get married, you should start planning immediately.
Right.
Even for, let's say, floral. I remember with my sister's wedding, she was like, okay, come back and visit me, at this time, and then we can kind of talk about it.
Yeah.
Even if you're out 2 years, we get this a lot. Oh, it's really early.
Yeah,
it's never too early.
Yeah, if you're a wedding professional specifically, you want to kind of lock in a price with them.
Yes.
So, because next year, we're going to be a little higher. And what's funny is everyone always thinks the closer I book to my wedding, the better
it is.
Yes, and that is not a fact at all. We do not lower our prices. You just paid the new 2022 price at the time. So
absolutely. If you're having difficulty finding a venue, especially, outdoor spaces, that's another thing that falls into the realm of booking 16 to 24 months in advance. And we were talking about tents before. If you know that your venue is going to be a tented event, make sure, does the venue rent that tent, or do you as the consumer have to rent it? So you got to plan that in advance. Don't assume. I always see clients, they go to they had this beautiful such and such, and they never bothered to ask, will that be there on my wedding day?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because it wasn't part of your package.
Yeah,
simple as that.
Does the facility even own it? That's the important. I have seen some facilities that have bought tents right now, just so they do have it when the customer asks for it. But that is so rare.
Yeah. They're usually rented. And staffing shortages, we mentioned that before. There is very little you can do about staffing shortages as an engaged couple. You'll just have to trust the venue when they say, how many people you're going to have, and they say X amount, hold them to that, especially bartenders. I'll throw out a little tip. There should be no less than 2 bartenders at any wedding, 100 people or more, because if you have one bartender, the line out the door will be ridiculous. People just get one drink. I just throw that in as a tip.
And they leave early when they're not getting taken care of quickly enough. Yeah.
Absolutely. And finally, the flowers, as we mentioned, if they're stuck in transit or they're just extremely hard to find, plan ahead. Have a backup plan. Silk flowers is another thing that's become very popular again. Anything that you need to add that we missed out on there that couples should plan ahead for?
I think we hit quite a bit here.
The Stress-Free Wedding Planning Podcast with Sal and Sam.
Remember those questions I asked? Why is the food for my reception more expensive? Why is my dress and my bridesmaids' dresses costing more? Knowing what and why you're paying for in your wedding budget makes planning easy and relieves the financial stress of planning your wedding day.
So there you have it. We just shared with you exactly what is inflation and what is the supply chain and how it affects your wedding. You also learned what you can do and what actions you can take immediately.
Now, as you spend the next week planning your wedding, if you want me, Sal, and our community of stress-free engaged couples and wedding experts to answer any related questions,
join us over in the Stress-Free Wedding Planning Facebook group. Once you're in, go ahead and share your concerns and worries, and we'll let you know if you're on the right track or if there are some things you should work on. The link to join us in the Stress-Free Wedding Planning Facebook group is in the show notes.
The Stress-Free Wedding Planning Podcast is produced and copyrighted by Atmosphere Productions in association with After Hours Events of New England.